They're on your TV week after week, and then they're gone forever. After the season finales aired, where did these sitcom stars go?
Actress Kat Dennings has charmed audiences on the small screen and big screen since she was a teen, but she's best known for her 6-year run in a role on CBS's Two Broke Girls. Why isn't she around as much as she used to be? A steady gig means a steady paycheck, and the equivalent for actors is a lead role on a network sitcom. Not only did Dennings get a hefty paycheck each week for delivering withering putdowns and saucy innuendo on Two Broke Girls, she'll also reap the financial benefits of starring on that hit sitcom forever. Two Broke Girls was so successful during its initial season that in 2012, producers sold the show's rerun package into syndication in what was, at the time, the most lucrative deal ever. For the right to air Two Broke Girls reruns, TBS paid $1.7 million per episode. With 138 episodes in all, that's hundreds of millions of dollars, and Dennings gets a cut as both a star and a producer. Basically, if Kat Dennings hasn't worked much lately, it's because she hasn't had to. In 2014, Beth Behrs set up her Two Broke Girls co-star with the deep-voiced pop opera singer Josh Groban.
She's always talked about how great he is, and they've been friends for years, and she thought we were both nerds, so there, she was right.
Shortly thereafter, they made the relationship official by appearing together at a charity event. Dennings and Groban were together until 2016, when, just before the final season of Two Broke Girls hit the air, the duo split. A source told E! News that the breakup was mutual and that they are still friends, and all that other stuff couples say when they call it quits. It may seem like she's MIA, but listen closely and you'll spot Dennings' unique voice in lots of stuff. In a futuristic sequence on a December 2017 episode of The Simpsons, Dennings played Valerie, Lisa's Harvard roommate and fellow jazz aficionado. She also voices Leah on Netflix's puberty comedy Big Mouth. Along with John Cena, Dennings also stars as Dallas in the YouTube Red animated series Dallas and Robo, which is about a space trucker and her warrior poet companion Robo.
Melissa Joan Hart was the queen of the 90s, starring in Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Drive Me Crazy. She was fun, talented, and charming. Where'd she go? Here's why Hollywood won't cast Melissa Joan Hart anymore. As much as she loves acting, Hart enjoys behind-the-camera work even more. She told Rare that, "My fondest memories really came from what happened behind the scenes. Just having the privilege of working with some amazing people in front of and behind the camera. That explains why she's been spending so much of her time producing rather than acting." Besides executive producing dozens of episodes of Sabrina the Teenage Witch and the entire run of Melissa and Joey, she has also executive produced 4 TV movies as well. In 2011, Hart's former talent manager, Kieran Maguire, filed a lawsuit against the actress for alleged unpaid commissions. Maguire claimed that Hart hired him in 2006 when her acting career was dwindling, and that she made an oral agreement to pay him 10% commission for her work. But according to Maguire, once he helped her get the Melissa and Joey gig in 2010, she fired him and refused to pay him commissions beyond the first season. They settled the lawsuit in 2012, but that's certainly not the kind of rep that makes you popular in Hollywood. Hart's efforts to find new opportunities may be held back by the fact that everyone is constantly trying to get her to relive her glory days. She told E! News, "There's a lot of talk about a Sabrina reboot. I feel like almost every day somebody's calling me about it. Would we do it? Should we do it? How do we do it? I think the thing about reboots is they're really hard to do. They're hard to do right. I think sometimes it's better to just leave it in the past unless you do it really, really great." Still, she hasn't ruled out the possibility of returning to Clarissa Explains It All, telling Entertainment Weekly, "I'd be open to it. I don't want to say no, but at the same time I'm not too thrilled about the idea. As with any reboot, it has to really be done right. I think with Fuller House, they've taken a great approach with it." So she's the one who thought Fuller House was good. That explains it. In her 2013 tell-all book, Melissa Explains It All, Hart explained that she got burnout on the Hollywood lifestyle a long time ago. She wrote that she, quote, experimented with weed, ecstasy, mushrooms, and mescaline for about a year and a half, but eventually decided it just wasn't who she wanted to be. She wrote, "I was kind of running with a bad crowd. I just didn't enjoy taking drugs. I don't like the loss of control." Once Hart became a mom, work took a back seat to parenthood. The mother of 3 boys told Us Weekly in November 2016, "I have mom guilt that I'm here right now and I didn't put my kids on the school bus. I didn't spend enough time with this one, didn't pack a healthy enough lunch. I threw away some toys that they love. You really have this guilt every single day, and it eats away at you that you're not a good person and you can't do it right." She also told People that working in Los Angeles was tough when her family was back home in Connecticut. "I just had the last 6 weeks off and I got to be home. Now I'm going to go back to the West Coast for the next 5 months. My kids are in school, so they have to be here. It is really hard. We're just taking it a month at a time. I see them every other week. It's difficult, but at least I can also focus on work and then go home and be a mom." Hollywood stars often use their celebrity as a platform to discuss political issues important to them, and Hart is no different. What is a little different is the fact that Hart has supported more conservative candidates and issues than most Hollywood folks, backing Republican candidate Mitt Romney for president in 2012 and Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson in 2016, even chairing Johnson's Connecticut campaign.
We have a chance to make a difference, but only if we get out and vote. I'm supporting Gary Johnson and Bill Weld.
And she's also been outspoken about her religious views. She told the Chicago Sun-Times, "Today, there are a lot of Christians being persecuted for their faith, far beyond the freedoms this country was founded on. In the past, mainstream Christians were members of what we could call the big powerhouse religion at the time, and may have been doing a fair amount of persecuting minority religions. But now those Christians feel their faith is something that is trampled on or ignored. Now the tables have turned. Those opinions have made her a lightning rod for controversy, something the studios and networks might rather avoid." As the success of Fuller House demonstrates, there's a huge market for 90s nostalgia. Reprising her iconic roles of Sabrina or Clarissa, even just for a reunion show, could be hugely bankable for Hart, and help her set up for another run of television dominance. Sounds like it could be magic.
Lori Loughlin is best known for one big role, Aunt Becky on the 80s and 90s comedy hit Full House and the Netflix follow-up Fuller House, but her career never really took off. It's not like mainstream Hollywood and network TV turned their collective backs on the cast of Full House once that show went off the air. On the contrary, the goodwill and familiarity garnered by that show has propelled cast members' TV careers over the years. TV's Aunt Becky also earned Lori Loughlin a shot at broadcast television glory. Several, in fact. They just didn't work out. Immediately after Full House ended in 1995, Loughlin starred in Hudson Street, an ABC sitcom about a New Jersey detective played by Tony Danza, who falls in love with a plucky crime reporter played by Loughlin. Hudson Street lasted just one season. In 2004, Loughlin starred as a woman who takes in her orphan niece and nephews on the WB's Summerland. Loughlin co-created the series, but alas, it endured for just 2 short seasons. Shortly thereafter, Loughlin starred with Jonathan Silverman and David Arquette on In Case of Emergency, a single-camera comedy about a group of friends who try not to be losers anymore. That one spawned just 13 episodes. Lori Loughlin's last major network TV role to date was as Debbie Wilson on 90210, the CW's late 2000s revival of the 90s teen classic. It began in 2008 as a show about the Wilsons, who moved from Kansas to Beverly Hills. The Wilson parents, played by Rob Estes and Loughlin, got less screen time as the show evolved. Much like the parents in the original, Estes left the show in 2010. An insider told Radar Online at the time there just wasn't enough for Rob to do because the show is more about the kids. Loughlin followed suit a year later, telling Entertainment Weekly, "There's just not much for me to do. It is a very big cast and it is hard to service all of us. The focus of the show is the kids. We get it, but leaving a show in the middle of its run may not be the best career move." It's been a long time since Lori Loughlin starred on a prominent top 30 hit show that aired on a Big 3 TV network. Full House went off the air in 1995. In the 2010s, she landed a big role in a long-running series. It's just a little less noticeable because it airs on a couple of basic cable channels. Like fellow 90s TV refugee Jason Priestley, who also starred on a string of hit shows in Canada, Loughlin successfully pursued her fortunes north of the border.
There's a lot of work up in Vancouver right now, much more so than Los Angeles.
Since 2014, she's been one of the leads on When Calls the Heart, a light drama about life in a tiny coal mining town in Western Canada, circa 1910. If you're guessing that Loughlin plays a matriarch named Abigail who wears some beautiful, if uncomfortable looking period garb, you are correct. When Calls the Heart airs on Super Channel in Canada and on the squeaky clean Hallmark channel in the United States. Speaking of Hallmark, since 2013, Loughlin has starred in a whopping 15 entries in the garage sale mystery series of Hallmark TV movies. The actress plays Fen Shannon, proprietor of an antique shop called Rags to Riches, who also just keeps stumbling across unsolved crimes, which she then solves. Loughlin also serves as an executive producer for the series. After her arrest, the Hallmark channel promptly severed all its connection to the actress. In a statement, the network said it was saddened by the allegations, adding, "We are no longer working with Lori Loughlin and have stopped development of all productions that air on the Crown Media Family Network channels involving Lori Loughlin."
You might remember Alicia Cuthbert from movies like The Girl Next Door and House of Wax, but for most, that's about it. Cuthbert was predicted to be one of Hollywood's hottest up-and-coming actresses. So why won't Hollywood cast Alicia Cuthbert anymore? Cuthbert's acting career began at the age of 14 with her breakout role as Megan on Nickelodeon's Are You Afraid of the Dark? She played the same character steadily from 1996 to 2000, which resulted in her earning lead roles in small movies like Dancing on the Moon and Time at the Top. While none of these films were received very well by audiences or critics, the added experience helped pave the way for her to grab her most recognizable role as Kim Bauer on the hit television show 24. Cuthbert probably couldn't have foreseen it would still be her most recognizable role years later, especially once she ditched the series after 3 seasons to focus on her film career and was met with middling results. In 2004, Cuthbert played Danielle in The Girl Next Door, a young retired porn star who moves in next door to an average high school senior, ultimately changing his life forever. The studio hoped it would be a huge hit, somewhere in the vein of Pretty Woman and American Pie, but that wasn't the case. The movie didn't exactly flop, but it wasn't the breakout hit Cuthbert might have hoped for to catapult her into big screen relevance. Then House of Wax happened. In the humdrum horror movie, Cuthbert starred as one of a half-dozen teens trapped in a wax museum that turns real people into statues. The film wasn't a flop, but like Girl Next Door, it wasn't anything to write home about and didn't help to establish Cuthbert as a must-have for movie roles. Paris Hilton, who also starred in House of Wax, was the very definition of famous for being famous and hobnobbed with a host of celebs whose reputation she'd sully with her notorious nightlife antics. And that included Alicia Cuthbert. The two bonded on the set of their movie, and Cuthbert joined Hilton's party entourage, even appearing in the music video for Paris Hilton's song, Nothing in This World. Given Hilton's reputation for ranking tabloid presence above her resume, though, that wasn't the kind of kinship that would help Cuthbert advance in the biz. Soon after House of Wax was released, Cuthbert's next film, The Quiet, hit theaters. In this dramatic thriller, she played a cheerleader whose social life was ruined by her parents' decision to adopt her deaf cousin, bringing to light some dark family secrets. While the role was certainly far from the typical hot girl persona she was used to playing, critics and audiences dismissed the pick, and it made back just 1/3 of its low production budget upon release. Her next film, Captivity, received even worse reviews. In the little scene pick, Cuthbert played a model, stalked and kidnapped by a sadistic psychopath. The movie tanked at the box office, was labeled torture porn by critics, and was nominated for a Razzie in 3 categories that year, including Worst Horror Movie and Worst Director. And Cuthbert was nominated for Worst Actress.
Thanks for the lesson.
Cuthbert eventually went back to taking roles on television and found that the small screen scene wasn't as welcoming to her as it was in the 24 days. In 2011, Cuthbert was cast as a ditzy runaway bride on ABC's Happy Endings. With several similar comedies premiering on other networks around the same time, the show wasn't exactly a star maker. While it did earn a cult following, the show was canceled after just 3 seasons. She was then cast as a young lesbian who decided to have a baby with her male best friend in NBC's One Big Happy. But the show was panned as a Three's Company ripoff that delivered too many damaging stereotypes to survive. The program was canceled after only 6 episodes were aired. After Cuthbert spent time frequenting the club scene with Paris Hilton, she expressed her feelings toward being young in Hollywood in an interview with Women's Health magazine and said she didn't feel like she quite fit in. She told the magazine, "For a long time, I was naive about who I was surrounded by. I got caught up in the LA scene. Not that they were bad people, I just couldn't ask any of them to drive me to the airport." She notably started focusing on her personal life, spending more time with her then-boyfriend, Canadian hockey player Dion Phaneuf. The two married in 2013 and now choose to split their time between LA and Toronto. While being away from the spotlight has its health benefits, it's also had a negative effect on her exposure. She has done a couple of Canadian films, including Goon, Last of the Enforcers, the sequel to the well-received 2012 hockey comedy Goon, and she stars as Ashton Kutcher's adorable ex on Netflix's The Ranch. She's hardly earning placement on producers' speed dials these days, thanks to her series of letdowns and separation from the limelight. But these new developments might just mark the start of a new direction for the girl next door. Here's hoping she can turn it around soon.
Being a child star isn't easy. While some end up with lifelong fame, others get lost along the way and never find their way back. After Family Matters wrapped in 1998, Jaleel White's career faltered. Although he returned to television just a year later for UPN's comedy series Grown Ups, the show received poor reviews and was canceled just a year later. Fans presumably just didn't want to see White star as anyone other than Steve Urkel, the googly-eyed nerd that pretty much stole every scene in Family Matters. Even so, White made it clear that he wouldn't be picking up another role that was similar to the one that made him famous, telling a reporter when the show wrapped, "If you ever see me do that character again, take me out and put a bullet in my head and put me out of my misery." White once again attempted a television comeback with 2017's Me, Myself, and I, but that series was also canceled after just one season. Malcolm in the Middle star Frankie Muniz was forced to take a hiatus from Hollywood after suffering from an unexplainable string of strokes. In a 2017 interview with People, the actor described his health struggles. "First, I lose my peripheral vision, and I can see people but I can't recognize them. I can see words but I can't tell what they say. Then I start going numb. It's a gross feeling, but I know now when it's going to come. I usually go lay down and wait for it to be over." Noting that he'd had nearly every test performed by neurologists, he continued, "I have no answers as to why it happens. I got so tired of trying to find an answer that I don't think I'll search for an answer anymore. I've accepted it." The former child star hasn't let it damper his dreams of getting back to work though. And with such a positive outlook, who knows? He could be back on the big screen in no time. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, you couldn't turn on a family film without seeing Jonathan Lipnicki on your screen. His roles in blockbuster hits like Jerry Maguire and Stuart Little catapulted him into superstardom. And don't even get us started on The Little Vampire. But not everything was going well for the star.
There was a lot of, bullying I dealt with, and I was definitely dealing with a lot of, and I still to this day, it's a battle, anxiety and depression.
In 2017, Lipnicki revealed on Instagram how bullying led to him ultimately leaving the spotlight. "I was told I was a has-been and would never book a job again. I was made to feel like garbage every day of middle school to the point where I had a panic attack every night before school because I wondered how I would get through the next day. It was humiliating." But the actor told E! News that same year that he's managed to quell his attacks with the help of extracurricular activities and therapy, so there's still a chance his career could get back on track in the near future. Fingers crossed. When she was cast as a nerdy preteen in Dr. Dolittle, Kyla Pratt got her big break. The movie was a commercial success and helped springboard her into starring roles in The Proud Family and One-on-One, but she just couldn't manage to build on top of her success. After the Dr. Dolittle sequels weren't exactly successful, she decided to take a break from the spotlight to focus on building a family, but did so entirely in private.
I was doing everything huge. It's just that I just asked people to respect my privacy and not post pictures. Yes. And then I'd tell the public when I felt like it.
She opened up about her decision to focus on family life in a 2014 interview with Ebony, telling the publication, "I'm all about your mindset, being focused, staying positive, being optimistic, and knowing that these are all aspects of my life that I love and enjoy. I have to nurture each of those relationships and give those relationships a great amount of time." Teen heartthrob Andrew Keegan was everyone's Man Crush Monday before it was even a thing. But these days, instead of attracting fans, he's attracting converts. Keegan leads a spiritual movement called Full Circle, based in Venice Beach, California. Their reported goal is to promote individuality rather than societal standards. He explained to Vice, "I very much speak what comes through while in the collective. We create a resonance of balance and equality of the crew. When you feel those chakras aligned, there's guided messaging coming in. If there is something of spiritual ego within that, it must not exist." He isn't afraid to poke fun at his new life, however, as evidenced by his 2017 appearance in Hollywood Darlings. Thanks to her role as Ashley Banks in the hit TV show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Tatyana Ali was poised for superstardom back in the 90s. Her time on the show even launched her into a successful singing career. But when the show finished, the demand for Ali dwindled, so she opted to pursue education instead. She graduated from Harvard University in 2002 with a degree in Afro-American history and government. After taking an interest in politics, Ali went on to travel the United States for Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign. Ali also reemerged for BET's series Second Generation Wayans in 2013, but her comeback was cut short as the show was canceled after the first season. However, she appears to be doing just fine without the spotlight these days. She married Stanford University English professor Von Raspberry in 2016, and the pair welcomed their first child that same year.